My spouse cheated on me after more than 2 decades, but the other man ditched her because he thought she was getting too old. Now she wants to return, but that's not going to work for me. I'm a guy, now 50, who spent over 20 years with my wife, Ami, who's 48. To be precise, we were married for 23 years. Together, we have 3 children: Rachel, who's 22, Jack, 19, and Abba, who's almost 18. Lately, Ami admitted she had been having an affair with her colleague Matt, who is 27. I'm keeping the names private to protect everyone involved. A week ago, she sat me down and confessed she had been with Matt for a couple of years. She said she was finally prepared to be honest and move on with the next part of her life with him. Because our children are pretty much grown up, since Abba will be an adult in a couple of months, she thought this was the ideal moment to reveal the truth. When she told me, I was destroyed. I was relieved that our kids weren't there to watch me completely fall apart and start bawling. Rachel had already relocated for her job, Jack was at university, and Abba was at a friend's place. I have to believe she picked that particular day so we'd be alone in the house. As I was crying, I begged her not to go and pleaded for another opportunity to salvage what we had. But she said she couldn't keep living what she described as a marriage without love. My entire world fell apart right then. Naturally, I first tried to deny everything, and I was in love. I desperately wanted her to stay. I just hope nobody thinks less of me for that. It all unfolded during a period when I was feeling incredibly exposed. I allowed myself to weep for about 30 minutes before I regained some composure. For that entire period, Ami sat beside me, gently rubbing my arm and offering reassurances, such as, "It will improve and you'll find someone else," as though I was some kind of injured creature, and not her spouse of over 2 decades. Her statements clearly communicated that in her view, she was the wronged party in all of this, rather than someone who had been unfaithful to me. Ultimately, I got to my feet and directed her to leave. I didn't want her presence in the house any longer. She appeared genuinely taken aback that I had gone from pleading with her to stay to demanding that she depart. Frankly, I was taken aback by my own actions, yet I still voiced it. If she had anything to respond with, she didn't. She silently gathered some of her things and put them into a bag already prepared, which proved she had been planning this for some time. Prior to leaving, she offered me a strange, sidelong embrace. I remained standing there, stiff and unyielding, and didn't hug her back. After she was gone, I bawled like a child for several hours until Abba returned home. I was utterly devastated, uncertain what to do now that my marriage was over. To make matters worse, the woman I had cherished more than anything in the world had been unfaithful to me for 2 full years, and she only confessed when she felt it suited her. What truly stung was her demeanor. She behaved as though her infidelity was insignificant, almost as if her only obligation was to console me, probably to escape the discomfort of sitting in silence while I wept. My thoughts have been on a constant whirlwind, trapped in a cycle of questions and considerations that just won't stop. A week has gone by since then, and even though I'm a little more settled, it's still a struggle. I'm trying to keep it together, largely for the sake of my children, but also for my own. I understand this has taken a toll on them, too. Abba came home that day and found me asleep on the sofa. When I finally opened my eyes, she immediately spotted that my eyes were puffy and red and kept pressing me for answers, questioning what happened and where her mother was. I was reluctant to tell her because I knew that speaking the words would make it all feel so real, but I eventually told her the truth. Just as I anticipated, I started to cry again, shedding some tears, which felt sort of mortifying. Yet Abba's reassurance was sincere, and she was just as stunned as I was when I first heard the news. I hadn't told anybody else at that point, but Abba made a number of phone calls that day. She reached out to her brothers and sisters and asked them to come home as fast as they could. She also gave my brother Eric, who was 45 and unmarried by choice, a call and asked him to come help. Eric is someone dependable, someone I can always depend on, and I've always known that I could lean on him. He was true to form and showed up at my home just a few hours after that, even though he lives quite far away. I really needed some space to come to terms with my marriage ending and to mourn the future that I had envisioned. Eric made the decision to stay with us for a period of time to support us, and he's still here right now, a week later, along with all of my children. We're all attempting to manage this together and make sense of it all. This still feels like a bad dream I'm trapped in. I never thought Amy leaving would affect me so deeply, especially in terms of how I feel mentally. Eric moving in was the correct choice because I've been totally adrift since she left. It's hard to get up in the mornings. I appreciate all the assistance I've gotten from him and my children who have been so supportive. I've spoken with my attorney and we're getting ready for a divorce that feels like it's bound to happen. Strangely, I haven't initiated the paperwork yet because I was waiting for Amy to serve me, but nothing happened until last night when everything became clear. I received a call from Amy late last night. I was shocked because we hadn't talked since she left and I had no clue why she'd phone after almost a week. When I picked up, her voice sounded, well, I could tell she'd been crying. She inquired about the kids and I told her they were all at home, along with my brother. I tried to keep my voice even because I didn't want her to realize I still cared, even though I do. After she asked about the kids and I gave her short answers, she suddenly started crying on the phone. It totally took me by surprise. This was the same woman who had been unfaithful and abandoned me, so it made no sense for her to be so upset. I couldn't help myself. I asked if she was all right. That's when she told me everything. It seems that the day she left our house, she asked Matt if they could live together. He turned her down. He explained to her that he wasn't prepared to commit to anything serious and had only been looking for a good time. He confessed that he still wanted to make the most of his younger years and wasn't interested in getting tied down right now. Eventually, he owned up to the fact that while Ami was appealing for her age, being 50 with 3 kids, she didn't fit his picture of a perfect spouse. He envisions having kids way down the line with a wife he marries, and since Ami's age meant that wasn't something she could offer him, because of this, he didn't think they should be in a real relationship or consider living together. Even if Matt was open to a relationship, Ami wouldn't be the one. She was completely losing it because she had no other options. She sobbed on the phone for around 15 minutes, grasping that she destroyed her life with this whole thing. To be honest, I did feel a bit of pleasure seeing how things were going for her. She revealed that our children wouldn't talk to her anymore. They had blocked her on everything without so much as a note. She'd been staying in a hotel for the last 7 days because she was unsure if I'd take her back and was too scared to find out. Ultimately, she crumbled and called me yesterday because she didn't know what else to do. She couldn't remain in the hotel indefinitely, and now she was asking if I would let her come back and give her another opportunity. I was shocked by her blatant nerve to even ask. In an instant, all my concern and sadness evaporated, replaced by a wave of anger, something I should have felt a long time ago. I made it clear to her right away that she wouldn't get another shot the same way she hadn't given me one. I told her I was actually happy this was happening to her because she earned it based on her actions. Then I cut the call off without listening to her and switched my phone off so I could sleep without her being on my mind. It made me so angry that she even assumed for a moment that after everything she'd done, she could come crawling back to me and I would solve her problems for her like I always had. We had our share of good times and bad times in our marriage over the years, like most married couples, but I was always the one who attempted to smooth things over after every disagreement. Even though apologies were rare from her, I was consistently the one pursuing her, attempting to make things better even if I wasn't the one at fault. However, I had reached my limit. I couldn't ignore this, I couldn't let it go, and to be honest, I didn't want to since this served as the harsh awakening I desperately needed. I had always loved my wife more than she cared for me, way more than she warranted, but that's finished. I don't believe I did anything wrong in telling her to leave and preventing her from returning. After all, the house is legally mine. I'm the one who purchased it, so the paperwork lists me as the owner. She can't make me let her live here, yet she's been trying to get me to believe I'm being unkind. This morning, when I finally turned my phone on, I found several text messages from her that she'd sent after our phone call last night. She was livid, acting like the wrong party, and asserting that I am self-centered and have no feelings for her, which is kind of funny, considering she betrayed me. She's additionally saying that I'm the one who turned the children against her, and that's just not the case. I actually wasn't aware they had blocked her or stopped contacting her until she mentioned it to me. It's beyond me how any of this is my responsibility. It could be the anger talking, but it's completely ridiculous that she is calling me self-serving because I won't give our marriage another shot now that she cheated. And now, after Matt gave her the cold shoulder, she's trying to come back to me, expecting that I'd take her back right away. I honestly don't think I'm the bad guy. Still, I wanted to make sure I wasn't being needlessly harsh in this scenario due to my anger, which is why I'm turning to you all. Am I being unreasonable for declining to let my wife move back in with me after she cheated on me with her coworker? Update 1. Hey everyone. Initially, I want to express my gratitude to every one of you who spent their time responding to my original post. I'm truly thankful that I shared my situation here because it helped me see just how manipulated I was by Ami. She had me doubting my choice to not let her back into my home and my life. Without all of your support, I could easily have given in and taken her back. Thank you so very much. Your input kept me from a life filled with total unhappiness and lack of trust. After taking a couple of days to process everything, I'm certain and resolute she's not worthy of a second opportunity. Over the last few days, she's flooded my inbox with messages, desperately trying to convince me to reconcile. She's pulled out all the stops, laying on the guilt, trying to manipulate my emotions, and offering endless apologies. She keeps insisting that she made a massive error and is ready to do anything to fix things with me. Frankly, I have no idea what gives her the impression I would ever want her back after everything that's happened. This wasn't just a minor slip-up. She's minimizing the situation and she still doesn't seem to grasp the gravity of her actions. I strongly doubt she ever will. I'm feeling much better now, though. My children, Rachel and Jack, have resumed their routines and I've urged them to concentrate on their own needs. Abba is still here supporting me sometimes, which I value, but I've suggested that she puts her own well-being and joy first. She'll be starting college in the autumn, so I want her to fully enjoy her time here. My brother Eric, who shares the house, has been a complete blessing. He doesn't express his feelings openly, but he's been there for me in his own manner, giving me time to decompress. I realize he'll eventually need to resume his own life, but for the time being, I'm thankful he's here. On the legal front, my lawyer and I initiated divorce proceedings yesterday. Since Ami is now without any other options for lodging, I suspect she's stalling on filing for divorce because she wants to come back. The legal documents are going to be delivered to her within the next few days, and that's when the real struggle will start. I'm already worn out just anticipating it, however, I understand this is what I have to do. At the very least, I can say I put in my best effort to salvage our marriage, and the rest is up to her. Today, Ami officially received the divorce papers, and based on the messages she sent me, I don't believe she reacted well. I haven't blocked her number yet. I haven't been able to find the willpower to completely remove her from my life, but I plan to do that soon. She sent me a string of unkind messages about how she hopes things turn out for me, declaring that I've destroyed her life and that I'm only trying to get back at her because she sought a little enjoyment to escape her dull and repetitive existence. She said I'm almost 50 years old and look it, and that all she wanted was a change of pace. Okay, the comment about looking my age is accurate. I haven't exercised in years and my hairline is receding, but I feel that's just part of getting older. I'm a dad of 3 almost grown-up children. It makes sense that I look my age. It's not as though I'm unpleasant to look at or in bad health. I've kept myself in pretty good shape for my age, but if she thought I'd still look the same as when we got married in our early 20s, that's just not possible. Unless you're famous and have endless resources to maintain your appearance, no one can stop aging. I understand that she's more drawn to Matt physically, and that's where the promise of marriage has to come in. If she lacks self-control and just ran after the first attractive young man she met, that's not my problem. It's disheartening that she's still trying to place the responsibility on me, acting like she was in the right and that I should have somehow resolved the situation. When I reflect, I can see all the warnings I disregarded for over 2 decades because I was in love with her. But now that she's soon to be my former wife, I see her true colors. I feel like a fool for not realizing this earlier. I should have noticed, but I chose to overlook everything because I loved Ami. Even now, deep down inside, I know I still do, which is embarrassing and makes me feel weak. This is what's kept me from completely cutting her off, but I'm hoping and praying that I'll find the strength to do it soon. I can't handle her behavior any longer, and I don't want to witness any more of this from her. An unexpected turn of events has occurred. Luckily, I'm not directly involved. Just a few hours ago, my daughter Rachel told me that Ami is involved in some online drama centered around Matt. It seems that yesterday, she wrote a long post on Facebook about how Matt had been unfaithful to her for 2 years and then ended things because he didn't see a future with her. Looking back, it was stupid of her to uproot her life without talking things over with him beforehand. I am not a cheater. But at the very least, she really should have thought things over before jumping into a relationship with Matt so quickly. I mean, she should have questioned if he was seeking the same things as her. In her online post, a few of their coworkers spoke up, and they made it known that Matt had also been involved with them too. Basically, it turned out that Matt was the office heartbreaker, and he never truly cared for Ami. I never bought into the whole karma thing before this, but this situation seems like karma at its most satisfying. I'm shocked that this is happening to her. Rachel and I both blocked her, but the news of her troubles was relayed to us by a post from one of Ami's relatives who still has her as a friend on Facebook. We haven't told the rest of the family about our separation, but I think that post really makes things quite apparent. I'll break the news to my family before too long, but for now I'm just watching the drama play out from afar. Frankly, I'm almost grateful to Matt. Initially, I despised him for being the person Ami had an affair with, but now I almost feel a sense of gratitude for what he's done. He's revealed her true nature and spared me from a life filled with heartbreak. It's been a little over a month since I initially posted, and we're now in the bargaining stage of the divorce agreement. It's surprising how I can look at Ami now and feel completely indifferent. Occasionally, she'll smile during our meetings and tries to engage me in conversation afterward, but I steer clear of her and keep my distance. As far as I know, she's presently staying with a friend and got the boot from her old job. It's a good thing, I think, that I probably won't owe her any alimony. Her affair became public knowledge on Facebook. Because she was completely convinced Matt would eventually settle down with her, she spared me the trouble of demonstrating her cheating in the courtroom. Essentially, she did all the heavy lifting for me in that regard. My children still refuse to speak to her, and at least for now, we prefer to act as if she's simply not present in our lives. I'm aware this isn't the most ideal way to cope, but emotionally, it's too soon to really deal with it. I feel a whole lot better than when I initially wrote about this, and I'm certain things are only destined to get better as time marches on. Once the divorce is done, I'm thinking of starting therapy to work through all of this and start moving on. Right now, I'm just thankful this part of my life is almost over.